Welcome to Space on the Shelf. Today we're going to take a look at unlimited Spider-Man. We're going to be looking at his accessories, articulations, sculpts and paint apps and seeing some poses throughout. When it comes to accessories, we ain't got too many to think about when it comes to this figure. We've just got an extra couple pair of hands. So he comes with a fisted hands already on the body. He's got the web spinning hands and he's got the expressive arm hands. I think when it comes to any Spider-Man figure and any Spider-Man figure offering, it'd be nice to get both pairs of hands like we do with this one, and to get, the web spinning hands and the expressive hands, or what, crouch down hands, whatever you want to call them. I just feel that, as a standard offering, this would be good for any Spider-Man. And I know we don't get it with them all, so I'm happy that we do get it with this guy. So a question I always ask myself, do the accessories that we get enhance the figure? Absolutely do. They give us options when we're pausing. Not loads, but enough. So when it comes to accessories for figures at this price point, you sort of got to compare them to things like Jedi Toys, for example. You get an extra pair of hands mostly, you get an effect piece and an extra head. So it's only one more item, if you will, more than what we've got here. We've got the two hands. Do I need some webbing? Do I need an extra head? I don't think I do. I definitely don't need some webbing because I just got all that with Maximum Spider-Man. But if I'm starting my collection off, I would have liked that. It would have been nice to just use something that enhances this figure. Do you know what I mean? So it would have been nice, for a brand new collector coming onto the scene, thinking, oh, I want to purchase Spider-Man. I've got options to display with his hands, and I've got a bit of web that I can tie somebody up with. Overall, just a win for me for the accessories. Just. So let's take a look at the articulation. We're going to go top to toe as we do normally. You've got it's the disc and hinge, I think. Yeah, it's the disc and ball. I don't know what the proper term for it, but it's the disc and ball. So get a lot down that you can expect from this type of figure, which is good. Friday, I want to be looking down good when he's doing his crunches and he's in the air and he's doing all his different acrobatic poses. Sometimes he needs that chin to chest pose. Also, you put his head back, he gets a lot back, which is great when we come to them power poses, or like when he's looking up. Spider-Man often does them sort of poses, doesn't he? Coming down to the shoulders, he's got those butterfly shoulders. I've got to say, these butterflies do go all the way back. I was surprised of how far they go back, because I know they've had problems with them in the past. Coming forward, they do go all the way forward too. I will say that the sculpt sometimes don't know if that'll scratch off in time, but it looks like it's got enough coverage, if I'm honest. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're safe with the paint on the sculpt to stay on there. Next is, the shoulders, T-pose they call it. He can come all the way up, just a bit over 90, I think, which is good. You got a bicep swivel, you got the pinless double elbow, which is expected on most figures now. Then you got the wrist articulation, and for all the hands, they're all in the same place. It's right in the middle of the hand. I think it's the horizontal one that we've got, not the vertical one, which I don't think you'd need for this type of hand anyway. Coming down to the torso, what we've got is we've just got an ab crunch, and going forward pretty good, and going back as good as it normally is going back. I would say that for this price point, we have got figures before that have got that diaphragm and the crunch. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm being greedy there, but it's in the toolkit, so why don't we sort of get it with especially any Spider-Man? Coming down to the hips, he's not got drop down hips, so his leg comes up to about 90, goes back about not much, again probably 10 degrees or something like that. We don't get much out of it. As far as splits are concerned, I always like being able to do the splits with my figures. It just gives us a little bit more range when we're doing those dynamic poses, which is great. I will say though, when I was moving this figure, his leg does pop off. In fact, on both sides, his legs can pop off. It's not deterred me anyway from the figure, but it's just something to look out for. So at the hip, they do pop off quite easy. Then down to any sort of Marvel Legends, we've got the thigh swivel, as you'd expect. Do you know what I mean? Spins however you want it. Then it comes down to the double knees. He can kick his own butt, like people like seeing, but just naturally you've got like probably a centimetre between them both. His glute and his heel, if you turn it all the way up. They are pinless, which is good to know. Do you know what I mean? Knees are pinless. I don't mind pins, if I'm honest, but I know that it can cause the warping, so I'd rather them not have pins than when they do have pins. Going down to his calf, he's got that boot swivel, which is, I think, said a million times before. I like the boot swivel. It just gives us options when we're crouching down, as does the ankle articulation. This guy, he's got the normal ankle rocker, as you would expect, a disc, and it comes quite high, to be fair, so like he gets some good range back and some good, obviously gets the ballerina point toe forward, and then the rocker is what it is, gets the normal range that any Marvel Legends would get you. So in regards to articulation, could I get this figure in the poses that I wanted to get him in? Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's a win. when it comes to the sculpt and the paint apps, we're going to go over the sculpt first. When I'm looking over his head, it's a really decent head to be fair. It's a different shape than the normal Spider-Man heads. On the eyes, you've got like the eyes are a little bit more bulging than I think the ones that I'm used to anyway. You've got the nose and the jaw outline as you'd expect. No ears. This guy's got no ears, so we don't need to put those into the sculpt. No need. We're going to go down the front first. So as I'm looking at the figure, you know, you got the spider on the front, and you know what I do like about this figure is there are sculpted lines all the way through it. Do you know what I mean? And they don't inhibit the articulation in any way. So I really like that we've got the lines down the arms. I like the front spider that we've got down his sides. We've got sculpting there for his suit. Coming down to his legs, the legs are what we'd expect from any Marvel Legends figure. Do you know what I mean? He's got, you know, he's a little bit older, this guy, so he's got them defined thigh muscles. Then you come down to his boots. Again, he's got that similar sort of sculpting on the boots that that just add to the overall look of this figure. So I quite like that, gotta say. Turning the figure around and going down the back, he's got a cape, which looks like it's glued on. But if you lift the cape up, on the back, they've still sculpted the spider and the lines that you'd expect within the, you know, the figure. They've got them in the shoulders, got it all down his back, so the top of his back. They've got sculpting on his lower back that goes all the way under the ab crunch, which, you know, that's a nice little addition. So when you're doing your poses and you bend the guy forward, even though you can't see, oh no, you can see if you bend him forward, it doesn't break up the aesthetic of the sculpt, which is pretty cool. And then right at the bottom of his back, he's got the triangles that, you know, go down his obliques and sort of come into the back. Going down the back of his legs, everything that you'd expect from a Marvel Legend figure of this size. I can't remember what book it's on, but yeah, he's got the hamstrings, calves, as you'd expect. And like I say, he's got the sculpting on the back of his boot. So overall, I like this sculpt. Quite a unique one. I didn't expect it to be like this, and I was quite surprised when I started opening him up and playing with him, even after, you know, Maximum Spider-Man. So yeah, pleasantly surprised with this sculpt. Then it comes to the paint apps. Looking around my guy, so I think the obvious sort of criticism of this guy is he doesn't look like the cartoon version that he's supposed to be modelled on. In fact, he doesn't look like he should do on the box. So yes, considerations around there. He's not completely accurate. But for me, I actually like him without the cell shading on. I know I know it doesn't accurately represent the character, but I do actually like him clean like this. His face, you know, painted well. Can't see any paint apps or QC issues from his head. His neck and shoulders look great. Looking around him, there's no scuffing on the arms. Looking down the arms, I like how they've got the paint all over the new sculpting parts, the red on his body. Again, a very clean application of the paints to this guy. No QC issues at all. Obviously on a plain body, so the only things that they could update really on the torso is what we've gone over. So, you know, the new sculpted lines, and I guess his neck and shoulders piece and the head. Looking further down to his legs, he's got the inside leg that's painted. It's painted red to match the other bits that have sculpting on it. They've also painted a little bit on the knee, so, you know, attention to detail there, you've got to give it on. The application of the paint throughout, for me, is really decent on this figure. One thing before I move on that I did miss when I was talking about sculpt is his actual hips, the balls of his legs, you know, like the size of his legs do come out a little bit further than the hips. Not entirely sure how I feel about that. It does, if you put his legs together, they do stick out a little bit if I'm being picky. The other thing I didn't mention is on his arms, he's got them spiders. They can come off on his forearms. You could, you know, when you pop his hands off, you pop them off too if that's what you wanted. But, you know, a nice little addition to this character. Again, for the overall sculpt, the aesthetic and the paint apps, he's a really decent figure. I'm quite surprised by him. I didn't know I was going to get this figure, and the fact that I did, and I've opened him, when I've opened him, I'm still surprised by him. I'd definitely say that's a win for, you know, his sculpt and paint app. Let's see them lineups. You know what time in a showcase this is? It's time to pump up them beats, sit back, relax, and pop out some poses.